by Phil Knight, also known as Buck, had something he called a crazy idea. Phil's crazy idea was to solve his own problems in running shoes. Since he was a runner, he knew problems that people faced. He knew what the customers wanted. Phil started his career by selling running shoes from Japan. His company was called Blue Ribbon. He was operating out of his home basement. He began making huge orders and became because of the high demand. After Phil had left in Japanese premieres for breaking the contract, Phil and his team decided to form their own company and planned on calling it Dimension 6. But a former employee suggested Nike, and from there on, Nike became the biggest shoe company in the world. Hero's journey. Phil Knight is a hardworking and determined person. He spent countless hours every day to improve his company any way possible. He had a side job as he developed his company. Phil Knight was also very optimistic. He always believed in his company no matter what was happening. Call to adventure. Phil Knight spent a year in the army and he was looking for meaning in his life. He wanted to leave his mark on this world before dying. He then had something he called a crazy idea. Everyone called him crazy, but one person, his coach. His coach loved the idea. Refusal of the call. After calling everyone after telling everyone his idea, people called him crazy and out of his mind. People said that there were many other successful brands in the market like Adidas and Puma, but that didn't stop him. Quote, crazy idea, maybe I was, in fact crazy. Knight 21. Mentors and helpers. Bill Bowerman was Phil's coach and mentor. Phil Knight looked up to him and aspired to be like him. Bill has the biggest influence on Phil's life. He always told Phil that no goal was ever too big to achieve. When Bill heard about Phil's idea, he loved it. He then decided to become equal partners with Phil, and they both put in $5,000 to start the business. The tests. Phil traveled the world on his end goal, and to go to Japan. In Japan, he met the owner of Tiger Shoes. He then signed the contract to be the seller of the shoes in the US. Tigers were a big hit. They were selling so fast, in fact, too fast for Phil to even keep up, and he was proving everyone wrong. The low point. But then he found out that the Japanese were backstabbing him by having other sellers in the US. But this was against the contract. At this point, the bank were denying loans because Phil wasn't making enough money due to all the other workers selling the same shoes in the US. He then filed a lawsuit against his Japanese partners. This was his only hope. Resurrection. Phil and his team began secretly manufacturing shoes with a name Nike, which were a big hit because of their innovative and stylish shoes. Not too long after, Phil and his team won the trial and received $400,000. Theme statement. When wanting to succeed in life, a lot of sacrifices need to be made in order to reach your goal. 99% of the times, the sacrifices will be worth it. The media also really affect him and his company. For example, in the book, the newspapers would talk about how Adidas was the best company, which impacted Phil's perception of himself. So he started to work even harder. Also in the newspaper, it said that judging by Puma's sale, one day it would become the biggest shoe company in the world. When Phil heard, he thought he would be able to reach those sales. This really changed Phil's perception of his life. Finally, one day on the internet, Phil saw how much Adidas puts money into the company. So Phil always believed that if he had this money, he would have succeeded a long time ago. Thank you.